Welcome back to the Dynasty Waiver Wire Show. I am so sorry, guys. I am late on this one. It is Thursday, November 7th, and I'm just putting this out. Super busy week. Things came up. Just couldn't get this one out for you, but I still think it's going to be useful. I, again, apologize. I know a lot of people enjoy these, but here it is. I will get it out, and we're going to jump right into it, guys. This is a Dynasty Waiver Wire deep stash for all of you D-Gens out there. Starting off with Carson Wentz. He was on my list last week. Again, this is for Superflex, obviously. But Mahomes is a little beat up. You know, that ankle injury keeps bothering him, keeps popping up. And also the Chiefs are 8-0. So if they get to the point where they can, it gets a little bit worse for Mahomes, and they can afford to sit him out for a game, I don't think they won't hesitate to do that. So I kind of like, stashing Carson Wentz at this moment. We obviously don't want to see Mahomes get hurt, whether you like the Chiefs or not, but good to have his backup considering he's a little bit beat up. And I think that Wentz can come in and put up decent production here. So, moving right along, CJ Bethard. They recently signed him to the active, or I forget if he was a free agent or on their practice squad, but the Jags signed him. It sounds like Trevor Lawrence is not going to play with that shoulder injury, this week. And, they have Mac Jones there, but I honestly think that CJ Beathard might be a better start than Mac Jones. Like we've seen CJ Beathard in the past come in and be able to, throw the ball. He's been with Jacksonville the last 3 years. And he has one start with Jacksonville last year. And let's see what he did. 17 for 24, 178 yards. So, you throw a touchdown in there and he gives you almost 201. Excuse me. Again, in Superflex leagues, we'll use that. We'll use whatever starting quarterback. I just think CJ Beathard could potentially be a better option than Mac Jones. Into the running backs here, Julius Chestnut is a guy that I've been bringing up almost every single week since week 1, week 2-ish. He actually, started to hear his name a little bit, even for redraft. So definitely for Dynasty, he needs to be on rosters. He's the RB3 for the Titans. Now, Tony Pollard did play, so Chestnut didn't really do much, but Tony Pollard battling an injury. Tajay Spears has been beat up. If something were to happen to both those guys, Julius Chestnut seems to be next in line for the Titans, who are a team that wants to run the hell out of the ball. So Julius Chestnut, I think, kind of this you want to have any running back on active rosters. Almost every running back on the active roster probably should be on the NFL's active roster, probably should be on Dynasty rosters. Greg Reynolds. I've been talking about these guys, and we're going to list them all here this time. Last week, I grouped them into one. This week, I'm actually individually listing these guys. There are certain teams where I want every single running back that's on their active roster. The Lions are one of those teams because they run the hell out of the ball, and that is not going to change. If Montgomery gets hurt, if Gibbs gets hurt, they're still going to run the ball. If both those guys get hurt, they're still going to run the ball. Craig Reynolds is the RB3 for the Lions. Sione Vaki, the RB4 for the Lions. I want both these guys. Because they're one injury away from having a significant role, either Gibbs or Monty, and God forbid both of them. So Lions are one of these teams. I want every single running back on the active roster. The Rams are one of these teams. I want every single running back on the active roster. Cody Shrader is a rookie who a lot of people kind of liked coming out of college. Went to the 49ers, I believe, as an undrafted free agent. And they cut him, and he's been on the Rams active roster ever since. So Cody Shrader, again, super productive, went to Missouri, he led the SEC in rushing last year with over 1,600 yards. He also caught 22 passes. So he had over 1,800 total yards and 14 touchdowns. So he was super productive in college, but he's fourth on the Rams depth chart. But if injuries were to happen, again, to guys like Kyron, Corum, Ronnie Rivers, we could see Shrader get a shot, and maybe next year Cody Shrader moves up to the RB3. We don't know. Hassan Haskins, the Chargers are another one of those teams. I want all the running backs that are on the Chargers. Hassan Haskins, is technically the RB3. I think he's more like the RB4. He's listed as the RB3. But I do think he's more the RB4 behind Kamani Vidal. Now, Gus Edwards is coming back, but what if he gets injured again? What if J.K. Dobbins, who always seems to be injured, gets injured again? There's Chargers are going to run the hell out of the ball. And so I want the running backs on whoever's going to be starting for them. So Hassan Haskins, if something were to happen to Dobbins, maybe Haskins gets a little bit of a run here. Also, Patrick Taylor of the 49ers, I constantly bring up. He's another 49ers and another one of those teams. I want all the running backs on the 49ers. Obviously, you have Jordan Mason, Christian McCaffrey coming back, Isaac Guerrero, but something were to happen to those guys, maybe Patrick Taylor gets a little bit more of a run. Chris Brooks is on the Packers. Chris Brooks is actually getting some playing time with the Packers. As much as maybe we hate to admit it, Chris Brooks is actually doing a decent, getting a decent role with the Green Bay. Now, obviously, you have Josh Jacobs there and you have Emmanuel Wilson, and Chris Brooks is not going to be playing over those guys, but he is the RB3, Brooks, that is. And he actually did play more than Emmanuel Wilson last week. He played 26 snaps to Wilson's 20%, and he had 2 carries and 3 catches. So if something were to happen to Jacobs, I think they're going to probably platoon these guys, and maybe Chris Brooks is a little bit more of the passing downs guy, and there could be some value there. So Chris Brooks, I think, is worth an ad, a guy that I liked when he was on Miami as well. Jordan Mims is not even rated on Keep Trade Cut. Jordan Mims is currently the RB3 for the Saints. Kendrick Miller just got put back on IR. Jamal Williams is dealing with an injury, and Jordan Mims came in, and he had 5 carries and a catch for 25 yards, 38 as the sirens go by. He had 38 total yards with a catch. I don't think Alvin Kamara is old, guys. They're using the hell out of Alvin Kamara. What if he gets hurt and Jamal Williams is beat up? And even if he's not, Jordan Mims could see a significant role here. It's not going to be Kendrick Miller. It might be Jordan Mims. Who went to Fresno State. He's been in the NFL for a couple of years now, but he's been on the Saints. He kind of knows the system. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see Jordan Mims. There's a path for him to be fantasy relevant. Travis Homer, another one. They just traded Khalil Herbert. That makes Travis Homer the RB3 for this team. If something were to happen to Roshan or to DeAndre Swift, who both those guys in their careers have been a little bit injured, especially Swift. If something were to happen to those guys, we could be seeing an expanded role for Travis Homer now, who again is the RB3 for the Chicago Bears. That is it for my running backs, I believe. Into some wide receivers. We have some names here, guys. Mac Hollins pops back up on this list. Mac Hollins had a decent game this week, especially for you best ball players. Just throw these guys on there. These guys that are playing a bunch of snaps, throw them on your roster. Mac Hollins had 5 targets, 5 catches, 30 yards, and a touchdown last week. Keon Coleman is beat up. It sounds like he's going to miss multiple weeks. Amari Cooper is not even healthy, but with Keon Coleman being out, Mac Hollins is going to see more playing time. 68% of the snaps last week. That has value. So I would definitely like to see Mac Hollins probably added in these deeper dynasty leagues. Anais Smith, a rookie who I kind of liked coming out of college, super versatile, can run the ball, kind of that hybrid running back, wide receiver type of player. I think he actually was a running back to begin his college career. They drafted him, they being the Philadelphia Eagles, in the 5th round. So not the worst draft capital. He was hurt basically all year until 2 weeks ago. Hasn't really played any. He only has 1 target. He does have a carry, but I think he adds something a little bit to the Eagles offense that they don't have with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. I think he could be potentially something, probably not this year, more for next year. And I just think he adds something to the team that they're going to get him on the field. Chris Conley. Obviously we have the Ayuk injury. Even Debo's a little bit beat up, and Juwan Jennings, they're both on the injury report. Chris Conley, although he didn't produce anything, was on the field for 76% of the snaps their last game in week 8 against Dallas. He was on the field a lot. And I think they are going to lean towards him a little bit more, maybe even over Ricky Pearsall for the next couple of weeks. So a guy that plays 75% of the snaps on a good offense is going to have an opportunity to catch a touchdown. So once again, you best ball players, I think Chris Conley should be on your rosters. Tim Jones for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, they lost Christian Kirk to a season-ending injury. So Tim Jones is playing a little bit more, 47% of the snaps in week 8, 26 in week 9. Someone who I think he's a second-year guy, if I remember correctly. Maybe he's a little bit this is his third year. Who knows? Could see a little bit more of a play here. See a little bit more of a play with Christian Kirk being on the IR. Here's a guy that I'll be honest with you, I never heard of until about an hour ago when I was making these graphics. Ramel, I'm not sure how to say it, but Ramel Keal for the Las Vegas Raiders played in 44% of the snaps. Now, he went to college at Tennessee. So I actually now that I realize he went to Tennessee, I think I do potentially remember him. He's 6'2", 190 pounds. Like I said, he went to school at Tennessee. I'm actually going to search up a couple things from him. He was undrafted as far as I can see here. Obviously with Devontae Adams gone, Jacoby Myers has been beat up. I think he played the third most snaps behind Jacoby Myers and Trey Tucker. I thought it was going to be DJ Turner, who's a guy that's been on this list, but DJ Turner didn't really play anything. He runs a 4.51, Ramel Keal. He was I actually do now that I keep saying his name, I actually do remember him from preseason, and he was kind of a preseason standout. He was on the practice squad, was pretty decently productive, kind of that deep threat at Tennessee. So I don't know. It's a rookie undrafted guy who is getting playing time. Like, would we be, we've seen stranger things happen. And with rookies, I think they're more intriguing than guys that have been in the league for 5 years who are coming up and, they're making more playtime. Yeah, but we know these guys. We know who they are. This guy, we don't know. He's a rookie. This is his first year. He's a little bit older of a rookie, but he has a decent size. So there's opportunity for him. There's definitely opportunity for him. DJ Chark is our last receiver. He was on this list last week. I think DJ Chark was meant to be a big part of the Chargers' passing offense. I think DJ Chark and Josh Palmer were meant to play in 2 wide receiver sets, and Josh and Ladd McConkey kind of playing in the slot. Obviously, DJ Chark he's been hurt all year. He's off the injury report. So I don't think he's going to do much over the next couple of weeks, but do they get him back into that role? I think he could be a potential stretch the field type of guy for the Chargers. He could be a touchdown guy potentially for the Chargers, which they desperately need. 5 touchdowns for Carolina last year, and that was like half their passing touchdowns. So DJ Chark is a guy that may have been dropped. I'd be picking him up. Some tight ends here for you to wrap them up. Actually, a lot of tight ends. Cade Stover. I keep bringing up Cade Stover. He's buddies with CJ Stroud. He's a rookie that they drafted in the 4th round. He's been playing a little bit more since the beginning of the season. Beginning of the year, he was averaging about 20% of the snaps, 25%. Since week 6, he's been averaging about 50% of the snaps. And Dalton Schultz just doesn't look good. I know they gave him money and he's their main guy. Dalton Schultz just doesn't look very good. As we get another motorcycle driving by, it's been a noisy video. Just not impressive when he gets the ball in his hands. 3 catches, 21 yards, 4 catches, 27 yards, 4 for 34. Like, he's getting catches and stuff, but he just doesn't look impressive. I'm curious to see if they move a little bit more towards Cade Stover as the season progresses. Julian Hill is a receiving tight end that I like. He was an undrafted guy out of Campbell. He's big. He's 6'4", 250. He's been on the Dolphins for a couple of years now. He is more of a receiving threat, in my opinion. And just look at what Jonnu Smith is doing. And I think they signed Jonnu Smith. I forget what they signed Jonnu Smith to. I'm going to look it up right now. But look at what Jonnu Smith's doing this year, guys. Like Jonnu Smith is actually he's like a fantasy relevant tight end this year. They have a potential out with Jonnu Smith. So I don't after this season, I don't know if they're going to move on from him or anything. But you look at Jonnu Smith's stats after 8 games, and this was a lot without Tua. Without Tua being there, he has 40 targets, 30 catches, 300 yards, and a touchdown. Basically, he's on pace for like 80, 85 targets, 60 to 65 catches, 600 to 650 yards, and then 2 or 3 touchdowns is what Jonnu Smith is on pace for. And like, no, is that sexy? No. But if you play in these deeper leagues, or if you play in tight end premium leagues, I play in a tight end premium league, and I'm starting Jonnu Smith every single week, and I'm like one of the top teams in that league, because Jonnu Smith is at least getting some production, and it's kind of been consistent production here. So, Jonnu Smith, tight end 17 on the year with a bye week in there. Let's see where he's at in points per game. Tight end 19 in points per game. Like he's getting it done. And you just look at the last few weeks for Jonnu. 5 for 62, 7 for 96 and a touchdown, 4 for 20 and no touchdowns, 5 for 46 and no touchdowns, 6 targets each of the last 2 weeks with Tua back. Julian Hill is a guy that I want to be stashing because what if he gets his opportunity? Tanner McLaughlin of the Cincinnati Bengals. Unfortunately, Eric Hall went down with a season-ending injury. Tanner McLaughlin was another tight end that they drafted this year, who I said, they drafted McLaughlin and Eric Hall in back-to-back rounds, I think 5th and 6th round. Tanner McLaughlin could have a chance to be the guy, kind of like with the Tucker Kraft, Luke Musgrave situation. I was on the Tucker Kraft side. Everyone was on the Luke Musgrave side because he went in the 2nd round. I'm looking at it and I said, Tucker Kraft went in the 3rd round. He could have just as good of an opportunity. So McLaughlin was kind of a similar one. Now, Eric Hall was looking pretty good. McLaughlin's way down on the depth chart, so this is much more for deeper leagues, but don't mind it. Don't mind it for Tanner McLaughlin. He could be seeing a little bit of a situation here where he's going to get, a little bit more of a run. And he was actually pretty productive in college. 456 yards 2 years ago, over 500 yards last year in college with 4 touchdowns. That's pretty good for a tight end. Nick Vannett, not even ranked on Keep Trade Cut here. Nick Vannett is playing. He's on the Tennessee Titans, by the way. Is playing more or just as much as Chigakonkwo. I think they like him more just in terms of what he provides in the run game and blocking, and that's getting him on the field. 47% of the snaps for Nick Vannett, 2 catches, 33 yards, and a touchdown last week. I don't think they really like Chigakonkwo in terms of they like him as a receiver, but that's about it. And Chigakonkwo is still playing 70% of the snaps, but Nick Vannett is also getting on the field. And then A.J. Barner, who's another guy who's been on this list over and over and over again, saying hey, this is a rookie 4th round pick. He had pretty good stats in college, decent stats in college, underlying metrics and stuff like that. 7 targets for him last week with Noah Fant out. That's pretty damn good. I'm going to be stashing A.J. Barner on a lot of deeper teams. So that is all I have for you guys in the Dynasty waiver wire. Again, apologize for it being so late. Hopefully this helps you. And I will catch you guys all in the next video.